Welcome back to the Silent Mother podcast, where we hold space for stories too often left unspoken. In today's episode, I sit down with Jay, a military veteran, doula, advocate, mom of four, and survivor. Her story is one of grit, grief, and grace, from navigating heart-wrenching NICU stays and postpartum struggles to pushing for real change in maternal support systems across the military and beyond. Together, we talk about what it means to mother through loss, to advocate in broken systems, and to find healing through connection, purpose, and community. If you've ever felt like your motherhood journey didn't fit the mold, this episode is for you. Welcome back to the Silent Mother podcast. I am so excited to have my guest today, Miss Jay Day. Now I'll let you take it away.
Thank you for having me, Sam. So, yes, my name is Jay, and as you know, everybody has a story. Mine started when I was just 16 years old, standing in a uniform that was too big for me, stepping into a world that I didn't fully understand. And I joined the Canadian Armed Forces at that time, thinking it would be a part-time job, bit of a challenge to help offset the cost of university tuition. I thought maybe it was going to be a way to sharpen my skills and test my limits as I was very involved in sports as a young kid. Instead, I found purpose and I found service and I actually found transformation. So over the next 17 years, I didn't just wear a uniform. I pretty much built a life of leadership and resilience. I went to school for engineering, environmental engineering, actually. I pushed through mental, physical, and emotional trials that way. But I felt that nothing really tested me more or shaped me more than becoming a mom. And I feel that's kind of where my real mission, I think, began. Because I saw a huge gap. I saw how military mothers were left out of the conversation, how the system wasn't really built for us in mind. As a woman, I didn't want to accept that. I didn't think that was an okay standard to have. So I took action. I fought for what we needed, which included breast pump coverage, midwifery access, combat nursing shirts, pelvic floor therapy, and programs to help mothers through the prenatal and postpartum stages of pregnancy and motherhood. So change really didn't come easy. But I guess in a way, I was the change, and I didn't really want to wait for permission to do it. So then came the pandemic. I felt like the world had kind of stopped. My son was he was a cardiac baby when he was born, and so dealing with COVID and school, I was like, nope, I just have to keep going. So I homeschooled the kids. I served in a very high stress environment at work and pretty much supported others through the storm as well because births were still happening. Partners weren't even allowed into the delivery rooms. There were so many military mothers and military spouses who didn't have their partner with them because they were deployed. And so I ended up standing in there in place of their partner while working the high stress environments in the long-term care facilities and also homeschooling the kids. So it was just, it was a lot going on, but I knew like if I stopped, all these other mothers would be birthing alone. And I couldn't let that happen. So, anyways, I pretty much carried my own battles through that. During COVID was where I got diagnosed with PTSD after seeing a lot of things that I was having to deal with. That's when I found out that I was a cervical cancer survivor.
Oh my gosh.
I also, I guess I survived multiple sexual assaults in the military too. And I've seen a number of traumatic births as well, in my doula career.
I can imagine.
But even having my own traumatic birth and having twin babies in the NICU for over 8 weeks as well, I'm still standing,
Yes.
because I know I'm not alone. And there are countless other military and veteran women out there, especially mothers, like facing their silent battles and fighting to be seen and to be heard and also to be supported. So I'm going to keep doing what I do, um, because I want more women to feel supported and to also be heard because, motherhood is absolutely amazing.
Hmm.
Yes, there are challenges just like any other full-time job in the world, but learning how to navigate it and having set up a village, whether it's hiring a cleaner to come in every 2 weeks to help you out with your chores, or even just asking your elderly neighbor who absolutely loves being on his lawn tractor, being like, hey, do you want to come cut my grass? Because I just can't get to it.
Yeah, it
Uh,
takes a village and it's important to ask for help.
it is. And even if that village doesn't include your own family members, because
Hmm.
sometimes family, when it comes to trauma and your healing, they don't quite help that healing journey. And I want more mothers to know that it's okay to let go of those family obligations of, oh, I
Hmm.
need to text my mother every day because this is what she expects from me.
Oh my gosh, you just hit the nail on the head. You were speaking right to my heart for that one. It's like once you become your own mother, it's okay to stop mothering your own mother.
Exactly. No, it's true.
It
Very true.
is.
Or even having siblings that were like older siblings and they were kind of like your guide in a way. And I'm
Hmm.
the youngest of two.
Okay.
And I felt that I was kind of living under my sister's shadow for such a long
I'm the
time.
oldest, so I get that.
Okay.
Hmm.
Okay. And my sister and I, we have completely different lives. Like she wasn't able to get pregnant, and it
Oh.
was really hard for her to come around to see us because I was able to get pregnant. I had 4 kids, and it was extremely difficult for her where I felt like this distance between us for a long time because I didn't understand what it was like to go through multiple miscarriages and to
Mm.
be diagnosed with endometriosis and having to get a full hysterectomy. Like
Yeah.
having that power and choice taken away from you, I didn't quite understand that. I was more like upset about why isn't she coming around? Why hasn't she
Okay.
called? Why isn't she part of, my life? But I realized that she's been through her own trauma. And at least, like, I mean, you could definitely, even though she's never had children, she's 100% had that postpartum anxiety and
Of
depression,
course.
you know? And
Yeah.
not understanding that until I got into my doula work. And then I see this and I'm like, okay, I get it. And 1 in 5 women will experience postpartum anxiety and depression. And 1 in 10 women will also experience trauma, whether it's due to sexual assaults or whether it's domestic violence, for example,
Whether
or
they're a
something
mom or
on
not.
pregnancy.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's true.
Hmm.
So, yeah, so my advocacy, I guess, is about changing that
Okay.
because I've been the 1 in 5 and I've been the 1 in 10 too. So I'm hoping that more mothers are able to choose motherhood and still continue healing
Mm.
because I feel even being a parent of 4, I'm healing in a really good way. And yeah, it's challenging and I'm actually learning to sit with my emotions when I feel them. And the kids
Good.
know it too, and I'm able to teach them about theirs. And anytime they see me super overwhelmed, they're like, Mommy, like, it's okay. Like, do you just need a hug? And they'll like, all 4 of them will like sit right here on top of me. And like, I'll hold them and they'll just let me cry. And they
Hmm.
know that if they need those big emotions,
I love
they
that.
can come to me and my husband, and we're just going to hold them. So,
Hmm. My kids do the same thing. They know if like I need a timeout, and they'll say, "Go take a timeout. Lay down. It's
yeah,
okay."
yeah,
And I do because I do the same for them.
yeah,
And I love that. So going back, you enrolled in at 16?
yeah.
Is that normal in Canada versus the US?
Yeah, and I mean, I joined the reserves when I was 16, so it was part-time.
Okay. Okay.
And yeah, and I stayed in for 17 years.
Wow. When did your motherhood journey begin during all this?
10 years ago.
Okay.
Our first, he was, I think everything during the pregnancy completely normal. I had a bit of back pain, had to go see just a physiotherapist to just like kind of help with my back. I was swimming. I was playing soccer up until I was like 32 weeks pregnant. And actually my kid Charles, he absolutely loves soccer now
That's
too.
great.
Totally normal pregnancy and everything. And then when it came to birth, I was in labor for 36 hours. And it was like it was painful. Like I got an epidural like as soon as I was able to. Um, and after he was born, we learned that he had aortic stenosis and
Mm.
3 holes in his heart. So brand new parents in a city where we weren't even close to family at all.
How old were you?
I was 23, 23. Yeah.
So my daughter that passed away, she was also a congenital heart defect baby. She
Oh.
was born with pulmonary atresia, where the pulmonary valve didn't form. So what exactly was with your son's condition?
So his was it's aortic stenosis.
Okay.
So the last chamber of the heart, the aorta, basically the valve is supposed to be like 3 leaflets where it's supposed to pump blood in and out simultaneously. His were actually fused together, so it was like an open and shut window.
Oh.
So not enough blood or oxygen was circulating through. And then he was like having like very rapid breathing, so they call it tachypneic.
Mhm.
And anyways, we had a hard time nursing. His blood sugar levels were low because he wouldn't nurse. And then we had to give him formula. And then I was trying to figure out all this breastfeeding for the first time. And was just like, I don't even know what to do. My hands were so swollen from multiple IVs being put in. I lost a lot of blood that I was on 2 blood transfusions.
Oh wow.
And then he was taken to the NICU. My husband was trying to be there for me, but also being there for him as well. So he was going through like his own like, oh my gosh, like here is my world, and my world literally looks like it's shattering right now. And so he, I don't know how we did it to be honest, but anyways, we ended up with an air ambulance from Halifax to Toronto when Charles was a couple like 4 days old to get heart surgery. So it wasn't open heart surgery at this point, but they were able to do a catheter intervention for him.
Hmm.
And then we were in my very first Mother's Day, I was at Sick Kids Hospital while our son was recovering pretty much. And it was an experience I will never forget because I found the staff at Sick Kids to be so supportive. And they were like, oh, like you can stay in the room with him. You don't have to stay somewhere else. Like we can make sure that you're here with him the whole time. And I even had a nurse come in to remind me to pump. I even had a lactation consultant come in as well to teach me how to try and nurse him. But I mean, he just refused. Like we were never able to nurse at all. It was always pumping and bottle feeding him. But anyways, after that, we ended up back in Halifax, and then I ended up with a uterus infection.
Hmm.
So then I had to stay for another week at the hospital. It was awful. And it was probably one of like the hardest things I've ever had to do.
Yeah.
And that was when I was like, okay, what is a doula? Because I started looking into it later and I was just like, okay, like pretty much everything that my husband was doing for me is what a doula is. So, anyways, I never actually had a doula for any of my births. It was just quick, and the last 2 births were fairly normal in a way. But yeah, that's when I decided I was just like, yeah, I want to do something so that other moms, especially first time moms, don't feel the way that I did, you know?
That's so interesting. We're both in the same boat here. It's interesting. I love that. I feel very connected to you in that way of when we've sitting with just all this trauma, it's like I need to get out there and show other people that they are not alone. And it really sucks when you're in it, but having people that are just like, I know it sucks, and let me just sit here and hold your hand through it, like that's all it needs. Truly the holding space, we listen and we don't judge era going on.
It's very true. But then that's actually where I started to learn my love languages as well, because I'm the one who's always serving and doing things for others. So like my love language to show others is acts of service, pretty much. And then words of affirmation is another big one because I do it to my kids all the time. But
Right.
for myself, like I need the words of affirmation because being the youngest of two daughters, I felt like I didn't, my parents just assumed, like, oh, she's fine. Oh, she's independent.
Hmm.
We're not going to bother, like she doesn't need me telling her that she's doing amazing. And and then I realized I'm like, no, I need those words of affirmation. I totally needed those every time I was in labor as well. And throughout motherhood, being like, no, you're doing a good job because I've always felt the guiltiness or I didn't give enough attention to this kid today. Or I'd go
Yeah.
to bed and I'm just like, oh my goodness, this is why they had a meltdown. It was
Hmm.
because so and so said this to them. Like, of course I'd be so upset.
Yeah, we
So,
focus so much on helping moms through their pregnancy and through the births, and a
yeah,
little bit through like infancy, maybe through the first year of life. And then after that, you're just kind of like, no, like you just figure it out. You should just be used to it by now. Like, no, we
yeah,
need to. My almost 14-year-old said this to me the other day because it's interesting as they're growing and they're picking up on things from the world around them. And
yeah.
she was talking about stuff. She's like, I read a thing the other day, Mom, that said, be kinder to your parents because this is their first time living life too. And she's like, and that made me want to cry for you because I just realized like this is
Oh,
your first time being a mom. And I was like, yeah, I don't know what it's like to parent a teenager, so give me some grace here, girl.
right?
But yeah, like just be open and we share and we're not going through this alone. Nobody is alone. It is
No.
everybody's first time experiencing everything we're experiencing.
Yeah. And I mean, especially like, I mean, I'm a child of Malaysian immigrants. So all of their families back, like my parents'
Mm.
family are all back in Malaysia and Singapore. So coming here, somewhere new and having to pretty much like pick up and start life and a family around people that they don't really know. So they
Mm.
turn to like their church community a lot, but it was just it was hard for them and yeah, like exactly like what your daughter had said about that quote. I'm like, yeah, it's true because my when my sister was born, my mom was around all of her family and my dad's family. And then coming to Canada and then having me 2 years later, they didn't have that support network.
Mhm.
They just had to trust people because they didn't have a choice.
And I can assume, like, especially back in that time, when they're joining that church community, they are looking for such a place to fit in and they want to fit in that they're going to kind of just live by the rules of the church or the guidelines. So,
Exactly.
like, there's not a lot of gray area there.
Exactly, right?
Yeah, growing up Catholic, I feel that
Yeah,
too. It's
that's
it's
me.
so interesting how two peas in a pod, and especially your love language. I am the exact same way with I love doing acts of service and words of affirmation, and that's what I need back. But I am the eldest. I'm the only daughter and of
Okay.
a single mom. So a lot was pushed on me as like being the backup caregiver, and Samantha can just do it all. I don't need to tell her she's doing great because honestly, very different personalities than my mom. I'm outspoken and talkative, and she is quiet and reserved. So I was the bad
Okay.
kid. So, it was just
Oh my gosh,
everything
that's like
I
me too.
I was the bad, like, why are you always talking? Why do you do this? Why can't you? I don't know. I just can't help it. And so I was parentified as a
Yeah.
child. But that's interesting. Like, I am trying so hard, but though to do the same thing you are, the words of affirmation is something that keeps me going. So that's what I do to other people. That's how I give back because I didn't have that.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's
That's right.
interesting as the oldest sister and the youngest sister.
Yeah,
But you're one of three girls, and I have no other girls.
two.
Like,
Yeah,
or
yeah,
yeah, one of
two.
two. Yeah. So tell me you have twins then.
I do.
Was that, I mean, I feel like no twin pregnancy is a normal experience.
I was
Oh,
on bed rest from 29 weeks onwards.
oh no.
Yeah, and I mean they were born at 32 weeks and they were 3 pounds 9 ounces and 3 pounds 10 ounces. Like they were
Oh,
tiny.
yeah.
And I mean I miss how tiny they were because like I'm tiny, like I'm 5'4", and I just miss like having like just the two of them on me like this because now I can't. Like they're like half my size. So it's yeah, like the twin pregnancy was um I was craving chocolate milk and watermelon the entire
Nice.
pregnancy. I'm not a huge fan of cold drinks, but all I wanted was like ice water the
Mm,
entire time. And I was like really active because I guess the boys were a year and a half and 2 years old, give or take. So I was like super active, like running around after them all the time. But yeah, the twin pregnancy, I was in labor for 3 days where my labor actually stopped. I was at 6 centimeters dilated the first day, and my labor just stopped. And I had uh the OB come in when I was at the hospital saying, "Oh, you're probably gonna have a C-section." And I was like, "Why am I gonna have a C-section?" And he was like, "Well, because you're carrying multiples and your labor stopped." And I'm like, "Okay, now, like I'm gonna do something." So I got my husband to call his mom, who's had four babies herself. And I was just like, I need to get labor to restart again, you know? So she's like, okay, she's like, start walking, like start squatting, start doing this. And then um I was just telling her how tired I was and then how they wouldn't allow me to eat in the hospital. And my husband had snacks, and every time the labor and delivery nurses would walk out, like I would be snacking. Because I'm like, I'm hungry. Like, I've been starving now for like over a day, and my
Yeah.
labor is completely stopped, you know? So then eventually it restarted again, and I got to 8 centimeters, and then it just completely stopped. And then hours later, I was like walking, I was squatting, and and the worst part too was that the hospital staff was telling me not to do it. And I
Were
was just
you
like,
a
what?
doula at this time?
No, not yet.
Okay, so you still are now. See, this is another reason why you're like, okay, you need
Yeah.
to advocate for yourself.
Oh
Yes.
yeah. And I was just like, why can't I be doing this? Like, I don't want a C-section. You know, like both babies are head down. I don't have any other medical complications. So why not? And
Mm-hmm.
anyways, like I didn't tell them that, but I every
It's more
time they'd walk out.
convenient for them.
Exactly, right? So
Mm-hmm.
every time they'd walk out and I was like squatting, I was like walking around, like doing things. And then eventually, yeah, I had an amazing OB that finally came in and she looked at me and she looked at my stats and she's like, these babies are going to come out tonight. I'm going to be the delivering doctor. You are in safe hands and you're going to have a vaginal delivery. She's like, however, I'm going to give you an epidural. It is up to you if you want to put a dose in there or not. She's like, there's going to be no medication unless you push on it. And she's like, it's just in case because usually twin A will come out and sometimes twin B will go breech. And she's like,
Mm.
and that's where I'll need to reach in and grab her out. So I was like, okay, yeah, we'll do it, you know. And she was known for her amazing track record with delivering multiples. And I was her very last multiple birth before she
Oh,
retired. So
oh.
it was amazing. So anyways, we go into the OR because that's where I had to deliver anyways, but um it was just in case any kind of interventions had to happen. And exactly how she said it. First twin came out and the second one turned and went breech. So she had to reach in and pull her out.
Ugh.
And that was when I looked at my husband. I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm like, I feel this. Like, this
Start
is painful.
clicking.
I didn't click it though because like I let go of it.
Oh no, I've been like, click
And I was just squeezing onto my husband. And he was just like, oh yeah, okay. He's like, yeah, babe, like
it. Oh
your
my
grip's real
gosh.
tight. He's like, it's okay. He's like, just breathe. And I'm like, oh, okay. Anyways, they came out 8 minutes apart, and they ended up in the NICU for 8 weeks.
Okay.
One came home a week early, but um, to this day, they're inseparable.
Oh,
I just remember how long those NICU days were because
yeah.
the boys were in daycare. And the day that they discharged me from the hospital, I kept telling one of the nurses, I'm like, I don't want to go home. And I'm like, can I just stay? And she's like, well, we have like a parent room here that you can stay in. And I'm like, okay, yeah, like I have two kids at home, like they're in daycare during the day, and my husband can take them during the day, but I would want to go back to see them, right? So, anyways, it was just like this whole like, I want to go home to be with my boys, but I don't want to go home without my girls, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And it was in the middle of winter where we lived. We were like an hour from the hospital, driving down country roads that had blowing snow pretty
Ugh.
much every single day. I wasn't even cleared yet to be actually, I guess I was like at 6 weeks, but the day they discharged me, like they're like, you probably shouldn't be driving or doing this. And I'm like, I don't have a choice. I have to drive to go
Right,
see,
yeah.
you
Yeah.
know? And it was just before they were due December 31st and they were born beginning in November.
Wow.
And I remember going to get our Christmas photos done with the boys at Bass Pro Shop because that was like our our traditional like Santa picture, right?
Okay.
And I saw mom with twin babies in her like in her stroller. And I just broke down crying at the
Mm-hmm.
bathroom, like because like my babies weren't with me, you know, and they were supposed to be here. So
Mm-hmm.
I struggled with that for a long time because we had the photo done. And then it was my husband's idea. He's like, well, let's just get a picture of the girls right now. Like, let's just go to the hospital, take a really nice picture of them. And he's like, and then we'll like Photoshop it into there. And like, that's how we'll do like our Merry Christmas to all our family and friends. So that's what we did. But
Oh,
yeah, like those days were hard. And I
yeah.
mean,
I Cadence was so she lived for 6 weeks, 6.5 weeks. And she was in the NICU for the first 3 days until she had open heart surgery and then was in the PICU. But I stayed in the Ronald McDonald House because I was an hour away from the hospital she was at.
mhm,
And I remember I like I would refuse to leave. Even like I'd go back to the Ronald McDonald House right across the street to sleep in, and then but I would go not go like anywhere else. And a couple weeks in, my mom convinced me to just like get out of the hospital and go walk around Walmart for some toiletries. And in Walmart, I just started having panic attacks. And then saw a baby or a pregnant woman, and I was like, I need to get the heck out of here. And then
yeah.
after she passed, um seeing a baby or a pregnant woman anywhere, it takes a while. But I can imagine you kind of that situation can kind of resonate with you and what you said with your older sister.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, like that kind of, oh, now it kind of, that's the
I
same
get it.
feeling.
Exactly. It's interesting that you said that because there was a doula that was in my area after having the twins, and that was when I started my program. And there was, anyways, a lady who was a doula in the area, and she had made a post like we were in this like Facebook moms group together. And I had first posted saying, hi, like I'm going through my doula program right now. Like, is there anybody else who's a doula here that can kind of help me out or possibly mentor me? And so this one lady, she had replied and she's like, I've been a doula for, I think it was like 6 years. And she had a daughter. Um, she had, I think, like some kind of growth issues when she was born. And it was just like multiple hospital visits. She had her for 6 years
Mm.
and then she passed. And that was where she said, she's like, I can't be a doula anymore. And she's like, I can't go through this again, helping other people, having their babies and welcoming them when I'm still healing and grieving my daughter. So we exchanged phone numbers and I was like, oh my gosh, like I could totally understand how difficult this is for you. So she gave me all of her things.
Oh, wow.
And then she actually gave me contact with another a doula who was still practicing to be my mentor. And it was just interesting that like I felt in a way that I was kind of carrying on for her,
Yeah.
and
That's a beautiful story.
yeah,
Yeah, and that's so sad for her too, but kudos for her to understanding her boundaries.
yeah,
I get
right?
that. But and like kind of how we said before, there are some, I guess, women it shows you. Some of us can survive the trauma and we make it a mission that we're gonna let you know that you're not alone.
Yeah. And now it's actually interesting. Like I'm still friends with her, and she is a chaplain in the military.
Great. So see,
I
she found a
know.
way to channel it in some other
Yeah,
direction.
exactly.
So tell me now that we're on the thing of this, what you have so many different organizations in your bio, and I followed them all. So let me hit these. What are all your things? Hit me with them.
Okay, so the Baby Days Co. is my doula business.
Baby Days
And
Co.
yeah,
Okay.
so I have that. And then I have I Defend, which is I'm just starting it up. I
Okay.
just started this like back in March. I haven't been as active with it now because I'm back in my birth work.
Mm-hmm.
But my I Defend is actually for helping to advocate and um, change government policies to be more inclusive of parents
Mm.
because we have so many, like within the military and also just the government itself in Canada, where a lot of employees are parents and they're struggling with this work-life balance. And a lot of the policies that they have, they don't quite support the parents enough.
I can't
And
speak
so,
for the U.S. military because I'm not in it, but I can assume that it's the same.
yeah. And it's just like we're just in this um time where things are just so busy in the world, and Canada, who is always trying to peacekeep and help other countries all the time, like our service members are just like stretched out thin.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of them have families at home, and everything falls on the spouse if they have a spouse. But if they're a single parent, what are they supposed to do? So my goal with I Defend, it's to help change policies, which I have a ton of experience changing policies in the military. So it's not something new for me, but I've been helping a few other mothers in the military who are single with children, and they're facing these challenges within their with their supervisors. So um, I'm giving them the tools and everything to help them through it. And then if it's the point where this is just the way some of their supervisors are, there's like different avenues that we can go where it kind of helps to keep them accountable.
That's amazing.
So, yeah, so that's what I'm doing there. And then I'm on a nonprofit group called the Nari Sisters. And it's basically, and they're actually based in Florida.
Okay.
And there's like about 7 or 8 of us. And I'm the only one from Canada, actually. So
Nice.
we're trying to help end the stigma for domestic violence for women and mothers who've experienced sexual assaults and other violence that's happened to them. So we're kind of like building a network and trying to do weekly check-in calls or weekly calls, like groups basically, so that we can all chat at the same time and
Okay.
talk about experiences and try and help. We've been able to help a handful of them get out of these really bad domestic violence issues, just to kind of give them that no, like you need to do this or else you're not going to be able to heal. Um, just kind of like those pep talks, pretty
I
much.
love that. That's up my alley too.
Yeah. So that's what I'm doing there. And then I'm one of the finalists for Mrs. Canada this year.
I was gonna ask about
And
that. So
okay, yeah.
what is that? Okay, so mom of four. Now I'm gonna ask, how old are you and how old are the kids? Because we didn't get there yet.
So I'm 34 this year.
Okay.
And the kids are 10, 9, and the twins are 7.
Nice. So how did you get into Mrs. Canada?
So I've done pageants before. I kind of stepped away from it while I was working full time with the military. Mainly because there's always been like a stigma around beauty pageants and everything and being a service member as well. But lately there's been so many. I think Miss America last year was actually she was military.
Okay.
And then I think also Miss Universe Philippines once was also military as well. So there's more coming in and being like, you know what? Like, why can't we just
Yeah,
tuck our boots and put on heels like we're women, right?
right. Just like why can't moms or married women do it?
Exactly. So
Mm-hmm.
true. So Mrs. Canada, um, our national director, she's very focused on mothers and women doing what they love, and having a platform to grow their advocacy work and to be more confident in what they're doing. So for me, my advocacy is about maternal mental health and women veterans mental health, where they could both be together because I mean, I'm kind
Both.
of like a blend of both worlds, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so there's been so many women that I've been able to help already that have told me they're like, you need to go do this more. Like, you need to go do more talks. You need to be there, like, with all of us and telling us your story because I feel like they feel better that they're like, okay, I'm not the only one. And somebody
Mm-hmm.
who can actually voice their voices.
And they feel
So,
more comfortable speaking to you. I know,
yeah,
like, with going to therapists or other doctors, sometimes you're like, well, you can't resonate with me, so why am I going to share with you? But when you
yeah,
open up and you're like, I get it, I've been through it, then you're like, okay, you do know how I feel, or you've been through something similar, so I can relate
exactly.
to you,
Yeah.
and that trust
And so,
builds.
yeah, and it's just like I just want more mothers and women to come out and being like, I'm confident. Yeah, I'm a badass mom with an awesome career.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna show you that I can do this too.
Mm-hmm.
Hoping that more moms come up and they're like, I'm gonna go into the pageant world and I'm gonna do all these things because I mean, so many of them, like when you get photo shoots done, it's like I feel like a completely different part of me coming
Mm-hmm.
out because it's like it's just me and the camera and nobody's out there to judge me.
Mm-hmm.
And I can just do what I want that's comfortable for me and showing them my confidence. And I want so many more mums and women to just choose themselves, whether it's you put motherhood first, whether it's you're putting your career first, like whatever your priorities are, it doesn't even matter. It's more of what do you love to do
Mm-hmm.
and owning that.
That's what I tell my kids. I was like, I'm never going to judge what you do. My job as your parent is to help you figure out what it is that you love, like more than
Yeah,
anything in life and your passion. And then I'm going to help you figure out how you can financially stabilize yourself by doing
yeah,
what you love, because unfortunately, that's the world we live in. So
exactly.
you know, it like with my parents being a creative person and neither one of them were. So I was, don't do that. That's stupid. And I was pushed to, okay, well, you should do more like of this type of thing that's using what you like, but not in the creative aspect. And I like went to college for a year and I was like, this is not for me.
Yeah.
I think that is beautiful and all the work you're doing as a mom, kicking ass. And you're sitting here in your scrubs, just coming from getting a mom started in labor. See, like you are still making time for everything to fit in. So
Yeah.
when are you gonna compete for Mrs. Canada?
So it's in July in Montreal.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna have to pay attention to it and make sure. I don't know. Hopefully we could probably figure out how to stream it
Oh
here
yeah,
in the US. Yeah.
definitely.
Thank you so much for meeting with me today. Was there anything else you wanted to throw in? Any other advocacy or platforms that you have that you wanted to
Um,
give a shout out to?
I guess the only thing is just for all moms, I think each and every one of you are doing an amazing job. And regardless of if you're working three part-time jobs and you have 4 or 5 kids that you're looking after, whether your spouse is away, whether you don't have a spouse, like I just want every single mom to know that they're doing an amazing job. And it may not look like your best friend's profile picture on Facebook,
Probably fake
but
anyway.
right. And you know what? Like I just want every mom to know that they're doing amazing and to just keep it up because their kids are the ones watching them and building your legacy and showing them that they're your priority and this is why you have this career or this is why you're choosing to just be with them full time. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Not at all. Well, thank you
So,
so much for sharing all of that with us. And I wish you luck in all of your endeavors and hope to see you as Mrs. Canada. And I'm like, I know her. We're
thank
friends.
you. Thank you so much.
Yes. Jay, thank you for your service, your honesty, and your heart. Your story is a reminder that healing isn't linear, motherhood isn't one size fits all, and advocacy begins when we refuse to stay silent. If this episode resonated with you, you are not alone. You can follow Jay and the powerful work she's doing on Instagram at jjae.m.day, D-A-Y. So again, that's at j.m.day on Instagram. And you can also continue the conversation with us at either Living Richardson or at the Silent Mother Project. I'm so excited to announce that we are now holding in-person meetups. We will be live streaming our next Holding Space gathering on June 26th. If you'd like to learn more, please head to our website, thesilentmotherproject.com. And remember, healing doesn't mean you failed. It means you're still fighting. We'll see you next time. Until then, hold space for yourself and hold space for others. Thanks for listening.